one of Hollywood's biggest nights of the year, and of course, the stars came out dressed to the nines, Laura.
But while many dresses were hits, there are always some misses. So here now to give us a recap of the night, we have Vanessa Powell, fashion stylist, editor, writer, you name it.
The whole bit.
Welcome
Thanks so much for having me. It's
Absolutely.
great to come here.
Thank you for joining us here.
So your thoughts on the night?
So I thought last night was amazing, the fashions on the red carpet. There were definitely 3 trends that stood out. The first one was my favorite, pretty in pastel, a lot of light pastel colors on the red carpet. It was a good contrast for, you know, light versus the bright red. Another trend of the night was hashtag Oscars so white, as if you thought they could get any whiter. They could, with all the white gowns shown on the carpet.
So do you think that there was an underlying message there, or was it a coincidence?
I'm not sure. Maybe. I think there was an underlying message there showing that. But anyway, the third trend of the night was midnight dreaming. So a lot of dark jewel tones and black lace and a lot of beautiful, amazing gowns from our favorite celebrities.
Let's take a look at some,
Yeah,
shall we?
let's do it.
First up, we have Alicia Vikander there.
Every night.
She looked amazing. This was a custom Louis Vuitton gown, and last night was her night. You know, she won. She put a statement earring on with a strapless pastel yellow. It was all beaded, and it was a T-link, so it showed her gorgeous metallic silver shoe. She was definitely a winner on the carpet and, you know, her supporting actress role.
I was going to say that was that pastel you were talking about. That's a pretty shade of yellow.
It really
too.
is on her glowing skin and her dark hair. I loved it. She was one of my best dress nominees for sure.
Yeah, I love that. And Brie Larson as well.
Brie Larson, again, she looked amazing. This was a Gucci gown, and it had a little bit of a 70s, 80s flair with the ruffles, but what made this gown was that amazing belt. If you look at it, it's got pearls, it's got rhinestones, there's a lot of different embellishments on it, and that was really the focal point of her gown. She looked great as well, another best dress nominee.
I like dresses like this that have that effortless look to it. She just looked very natural. It didn't look like she was, you know, having a hard time with it, fidgeting. It was
she was comfortable, and you could really, you can see that in her stance and her posing. She was just flawless. Yeah.
Right. Okay, next one, Olivia Wilde as well.
Olivia Wilde. Now, this was a little bit of a disappointment for me because she is such a fashion icon. And I think this gown is so fashion forward and chic, and I loved the choker, but you know, it just wasn't Oscar appropriate. I mean, that's a little bit too revealing.
Too much skin showing there?
Yeah, you know, the Oscars, it's your most sophisticated award show. You know, you want to be classy and dress up, and this might have been good for the Vanity Fair after party, you know, but I don't think it was Oscar appropriate. She looked amazing. She's got a rockin' body, but I wouldn't have worn this to the Oscars.
Hey, you know what? I approve, okay?
Of course
I
you
approve
do.
of that one. I'm just saying. All right, next up, Naomi Watts.
Naomi Watts was definitely one of my favorite. She looked like a midnight goddess. She had this fish scale sequin beading trend going on with a deep purple and a deep blue and a statement bold red lip. It just worked so well together, and she did just the right amount of jewels. If she did any more, it would have been too much, but this gown was awesome. And you know what? Her date picked it out. It was his night.
Really?
So she's like, I want you to pick out my dress. She had two options, and she left it up to him. So I think that was really cool, right?
Yeah.
It's a unique way of doing it.
Yeah.
Right. I don't know if I would trust my date to
I
pick
know.
out my
That's
dress,
why I
so
think
that's
she
pretty
narrowed
good.
it down to 2. So she's like, this one or this one. I think she couldn't decide.
She was okay with
Yeah.
either one. Okay. And Daisy Ridley.
Daisy Ridley looked amazing. She wore Chanel Couture. So, you know, you can't go wrong in Chanel. The only thing I would have changed about this was I would have changed up the shoe. It was a little bit distracting to the amazingness of this hand-beaded gown, which must have taken weeks and weeks to make. So I would have used a little bit of a less statement shoe, maybe like a thin strap metallic, something a little bit more dainty, so you could really focus on the dress and not stare at the shoe right away.
She sure is a rising star, so I'm sure we'll see her on the red carpet again. Somebody else who was a big nomination, Rooney Mara.
Rooney Mara in Givenchy. She always kills it on the carpet, and you know what? She made a comment. Red carpets aren't her favorite thing to do, but she does it so well.
Yeah.
So she had this Givenchy gown, long sleeve. It was very classy on the top, but it edged it up with the diamond cutout right underneath her
So that's
chest.
just enough skin for you,
Just
Vanessa.
enough, yeah. The Olivia Wilde was a little too much, but you know, Rooney Mara really did it right. She had a slit showing a little bit of leg in the front. It was very, very fashion forward.
I'm going to start doing that to my to my shirts
You can
here.
show off your tattoos that you have.
Oh yeah, all my sexy tattoos. All right, lastly here, Cate Blanchett.
Cate Blanchett, again, I have to say, she was by far my favorite. I know I said that about a couple others, but she looked so statuesque and beautiful. And this was Armani Privé. It looks like it's florals, but it's actually feathers sewn into floral embellishments. So this gown was like the most detail-oriented, amazing seafoam green Armani Privé. Cate Blanchett can do no wrong, and she proved it again last night on the carpet.
Loved the color of that one.
Hard to believe how much time goes into all that stuff. So, of course, everybody was looking beautiful on the red carpet last night. Vanessa Powell, thank you so much for joining us here.
Thank you so much for having me.
Style.
It's always a pleasure coming here.
No doubt about that. And speaking of somebody else who was gorgeous and lovely on the red carpet last night, Miss Megan Yost.